It's been labeled as a ripoff. The I-Team investigating Riverside Chevrolet on Phillips Highway, a dealership accused of failing to pay off customers' trade-in vehicles, which has ruined their credit scores.
When you put your personal finances in what's supposed to be a reputable business's hands and it gets neglected to the point of affecting your credit, it's not right. It's not right.
As we were working on this investigation yesterday afternoon, the Better Business Bureau of Northeast Florida issued a warning about Riverside Chevrolet's practices. They said they'd received 30 complaints and reviews in the past year, 20 of them involving a failure to pay off cars. Now the dealership is telling us about a plan of action it's developed to address customer concerns. News4JAX I-Team reporter Vic Michelucci has been investigating all week. Vic, what have you learned since you broke this story?
And Joy, since I broke the story yesterday at 5:30, I have gotten so many emails, messages on social media, and phone calls from angry customers who say they too are victims, and they are very upset with the management at this dealership. They say they absolutely feel ripped off and scammed. And actually, just moments ago, I got a call from a woman who is inside Riverside Chevrolet right now. She says that there are a lot of angry customers, and the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office even had to be called. We did hear from management today, but customers still are not satisfied.
I was frustrated, exhausted, and very, very upset.
Just some of the emotions from the Jones family. Jennifer and Matthew say they've been through the ringer after trading in their Ford Explorer for a Chevy Tahoe at Riverside Chevrolet in January.
Get a phone call from the credit union that her Explorer was financed through, wondering why her payment was delinquent. We looked at each other just flabbergasted and confused.
They found out the dealership did not pay off their trade-in like they agreed to, so the payment to their bank was late. The result, both of their credit scores dropping big time. Jennifer says she lost 68 points. Her husband, Matthew, took a 73-point hit.
Huge damage, especially when you're in the process of refinancing your home.
They thought they might be alone until they saw our I-Team story last night, uncovering a long list of similar complaints.
My credit dropped by at least 30 points. My husband's dropped a little bit more than that.
Navy veteran Marie Wright says it was so bad that she was denied the mortgage on a home that she and her family were going to close on.
I feel pretty taken advantage of, yes.
And Ryan Gary is active duty Navy. He says he too got dinged on his credit when he traded in his car for a truck through the military discount program.
Vic Michelucci with Channel 4 News.
I took their concerns straight to the dealer, trying to speak with the owner and general manager, Damon Ferguson. Over 2 days, I was told he would contact me, but that didn't happen. Thursday night, after 9 p.m., a representative sent this statement from Ferguson saying, if in fact there is any error that has been made on our part, we will do everything in our power to rectify the situation as quickly as possible. We regret any unintended consequences that this may have caused. But there was no plan of action, so when we asked for more, we learned that they held an emergency meeting this morning about our story. In another email, they told us today they designated a staff member to personally assist customers. They set up an email for concerns, and any buyers who had bad credit reports caused by the dealership would get a correction letter to correct the issue. Today's email goes on to say other internal actions will include more staff training during the sales process as to ascertain the correct information from the customer as well as orientation. Do these people have a case?
Based on what I'm seeing, the answer is yes. They absolutely have a case.
Richard Kuritz is an attorney who practices consumer law. He tells us the company had a signed contract with its customers, and they clearly broke that by not paying it off.
It's clearly documented.
He says the angry buyers could use the Unfair Credit Reporting Act to get their legal fees paid for and go after the dealership's owners for damages.
Did somebody do something wrong? And if somebody did do something wrong, then the issue is going to be, well, what are their damages? And that's where, when you start talking about a piece of property, it becomes very complex.
I went in there every day for probably 6 days straight and never could get to the person's face that was responsible for all this.
The Joneses took matters into their own hands, contacting the BBB and their credit union, which reached out to the credit reporting agencies.
It has since been rectified with the credit bureaus, all three. However, our credit scores are still not up to the point they were when we traded the vehicle. So so there still has been damage done to this day.
What do you have to say to other people that might be buying a car?
Stay away from Riverside Chevrolet.
Tonight, each and every one of the customers that I have spoken with over the past couple of days tells me they are not satisfied with the management. They are not satisfied with the response that they have been getting over the past couple of months. Now, Damon Ferguson, the general manager and co-owner here, did say in that statement that he sent to me today that he was going to reach out to every upset customer personally and apologize and do what he could to rectify the situation. Of course, we will keep you posted. There is one thing that is for sure: this story is far from over. We're live tonight in South Metro. I'm Vic Michelucci, Channel 4, the local station.
Vic, what about the background? Tell us about the dealership's history.
So this is on Phillips Highway, not far from Emerson, on the south side of town. We know that it was a family-run Chevrolet dealership for decades. By all respects, that was a well-respected dealership. Then in 2016, this family came in. They bought it. We are talking about Andrew Ferguson and his son, Damon Ferguson. Apparently, they do have a long history of running dealerships, including in New Orleans. But I am told by several sources close to this investigation that those dealerships have since been shut down after having a number of issues, some very similar to what we are experiencing here. Again, we are trying to get a face-to-face meeting with Damon Ferguson, with Andrew Ferguson, with his father, or anybody else here to give them their chance to respond to these allegations. But they have repeatedly not called us back or declined an on-camera interview. But tonight, our invitation does stand.
All right, Vic Michelucci reporting live for us tonight. Vic, thank you.
Now to a News 4 Jax I-Team investigation. Buyer beware. For the first time, we are hearing from former employees of Riverside Chevrolet, the Phillips Highway dealership under fire, accused of unethical and possibly illegal business practices.
Most of the time I can get them to calm down, just talk them off the ledge and promise I'd do what I can.
I-Team has uncovered dozens of complaints about the dealership. Many customers say their credit score was badly damaged. Riverside Chevrolet says it is fixing its problems as the state investigation is underway. I-Team reporter Vic Michelucci has been working on this investigation for 2 weeks now and tells us the complaints keep coming in.
And every day we are learning more alarming details. We are now hearing from former employees who say this is the worst company that they have ever worked for, and hundreds of customers have been ripped off. Have we just reached the tip of the iceberg here?
Definitely.
These three former employees reached out to the I-Team to tell us what goes on at Riverside Chevrolet.
I hated going to work.
It's horrible.
Henry, who asked us to hide his identity for his career's sake, was the finance manager. Cindy Ray worked as a title clerk. Michelle Spears was the office manager. You were akin to the inner workings. What was going on behind the closed doors?
Behind closed doors, the phones were ringing off the hook with angry customers.
Last week, we began reporting about those problems. Dozens of complaints from customers who say they traded in their former vehicles for new ones at the dealership, but the company did not pay off the money on the remaining loans like it agreed to in the contract. The result? Customers' credit scores dropping, some by as many as 73 points. Were you surprised to see this story on the news when we broke it?
Not at all.
I don't think any of us was.
All three former employees say the problem lies with the ownership, the Ferguson family. Damon Ferguson is the general manager. His brother Dwayne is the operations manager, and their father Andrew is behind the business. Did you ever have concerns working for them?
Working for them went against everything that I grew up believing in, every value I've ever been taught, all of my morals.
I took it personally. Many days I'd walk out and cry. Like now.
Oh, we had a lot of those talks, didn't we?
I take it personally.
Cindy says she bought 2 trucks from the dealership. Henry bought a vehicle as well, but the owners did not pay off their trade-ins, causing the employees' credit scores to dive.
It's not just my personal credit that they've ruined, but friends and a lot of referrals, people that, again, are in the business or friends of ours that will never do business with me going forward.
It's illegal. They're not keeping up their end of the contract. It's unethical to be living the luxury life that you are and the common working paycheck to paycheck customers that we dealt with, we're getting screwed.
We have heard from several other former workers who say they're still owed commission checks, including the former new and used car manager who tells us he is shorted $8,000. Henry says the company still owes him $5,000.
And everybody promised me that I would have a check, and a month later they send me a bill saying I owe them $900.
Henry left for another job, so did Cindy, and Michelle was fired. They feel for the current employees still there.
And I still talk to a few of them, but they need a job. I mean, they're looking, but some positions aren't just easy to get.
We've been trying to get the Ferguson side of the story since last Wednesday, asking for comments every single day. We've only gotten a written response so far. Damon Ferguson emailed, "If in fact there is any error that has been made on our part, we will do everything in our power to rectify the situation as quickly as possible. We regret any unintended consequences that this may have caused." Management also told us it had an action plan to correct the problems, but didn't go into many more details.
Should this dealership still be in operation?
No.
Not at all.
Not at all.
And those employees believe that many more people are affected and they just haven't checked their credit scores yet. They also add that a lot of customers are owed money. They were supposed to get rebates and refunds from their taxes, their tags, and their titles. They say those checks were still sitting in the offices of upper management here. In South Metro, I'm Vic Michelucci, Channel 4, the local station.
If you have an issue with Riverside Chevrolet, the state of Florida would like to hear from you. Officials are asking anyone who has a problem to file a formal complaint. You will find a form for doing that on our website, news4jax.com.
After we exposed major problems with that Jacksonville dealership.
And we've now learned that General Motors had temporarily stopped them from selling vehicles until Beaver Toyota signed a management deal last week. We began investigating the dealership and their owners, the Ferguson family, more than a month ago. Dozens of customers and former employees accused them of bad business practices, ruining credit scores, and mismanagement. Since then, at least 4 state agencies have launched their own investigations. I-Team investigator Vic Michelucci has been working on this story for weeks, and he's joining us live now with what customers can now expect. Vic?
Well, Mary, the new management team says they have fixed troubled dealerships in the past, and they're confident they can do it here. And in fact, just moments ago, we got our hands on a new TV spot advertising the new management.
You've heard it in the news. You've seen it on TV. A dealership near you was failing to wow its customers. But not to worry. Riverside Chevrolet is now under new management. We've done it before and we're doing.
And those managers are from the Beaver Toyota Group. They invited us on the property to sit down and talk about their plans for the future. There is a new sign out front, a sign this troubled dealership is in transition.
This is quite the mess that you're getting yourself into. You know that, right?
We do, but we are prepared. We know it's a long road ahead of us, but we will do what it takes to fix things.
Nick Ruther is the general manager at Beaver Toyota.
And remember, we're here to wow you.
He's one of the partners who will be taking over Riverside Chevrolet following a management agreement with the embattled owners, the Ferguson family. We've investigated the dealership and its owners for more than a month after uncovering dozens of customer complaints.
I was frustrated, exhausted, and very, very upset.
The dealership wasn't paying off the loans on trade-in vehicles, ruining credit scores. We've also discovered that the state filed tax warrants and a lien for unpaid taxes and fees, adding up to $450,000.
My plan is first and foremost to prove to the customers in the community that we are here to fix everything that we can. We are going to be involved with anyone that's been negatively affected, from satisfying outstanding liens to helping repair credit reports.
So far, Ruther says Beaver's management has paid $1.5 million to take care of those unpaid bills. They're also picking up the tab for the employees that the Ferguson family did not pay. In all, the Beaver organization is forking out around $3 million to keep the dealership running. It's important to point out the dealership has not been sold. The state and General Motors would have to approve that first. but it could happen in the next few months.
You have a big task ahead of you.
I do.
Brett Morgan is the new general manager. He's coming from Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine.
What's it been like working with these employees that have really had a dark cloud over their heads, some of them not even paid for the past month?
So I have personally met with every employee in the dealership and had lengthy conversations. You're correct. They have been beaten down. They don't deserve it. There are some great human beings inside this dealership.
Morgan tells us that all the employees at Riverside will keep their jobs and that the new management is looking to hire dozens more because the dealership was running a bare-bones operation. Several former workers tell the I-Team they quit because of the old owners.
Should this dealership still be in operation?
No.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Beaver Toyota's managers tell us they've flipped troubled dealerships before, and that's what they plan to do here. But they admit they've never had a challenge this big.
It takes time, and we know that. We can't change things overnight, but we also know with the right people and doing the right things and being honest, giving back, that we can turn it around.
And that new general manager tells me it is all about having a good relationship with the future customers as well as the past customers, even the ones who are very upset at the Ferguson family. He says he is going to call each and every one of them individually, apologize, and learn their concerns and figure out how he can help them in the future, whether it is reaching out to the credit bureaus, anything to make the situation a little bit better as they try to repair what was a broken dealership. He said you can also reach out to him here, just call the main line and ask for the general manager. Reporting live in South Metro, I'm Vic Michelucci, Channel 4, the local station.
Thank you, Vic. So what happened to the Ferguson family at this point? Where are they right now?
Well, Kent, when we came in to do the interview, they were actually still here in the executive offices. They were in the office next door to where we were doing the interview. But I'm told they're not going to really have a role in the management. Under the new management agreement, we're going to see the Beaver Toyota management team take over. They're going to do everything. They're going to take all the profits and the losses. So really, they're essentially running this dealership as they wait to, hopefully, they say, buy it. And then eventually they're going to change the name if all goes according to plan, if they get approval from the state of Florida as well as General Motors to call it Beaver Chevrolet. Of course, stay tuned. We'll keep you posted.
All right, Vic Michelucci reporting live from South Metro tonight. And folks, if there are customers out there who are still unhappy, you can still file complaints with the state. Many have also contacted attorneys trying to get damages in civil court. If you need to file a complaint with the state, made it very easy for you. You'll find a link inside our story on news4jax.com.